Hi students! Just a little behind the scenes info. Between the last video and this video, I had dinner. So I'm back at it. So if the lighting looks a little different, if I look a little different, that's why. I paused to have dinner. But now I'm here with you to continue talking about the high classical Greek world. We are still at the Parthenon, and we're going to now look at the statues, the surviving statues that were on the east and west pediment. Now remember, the east pediment was the front of the temple, and the west pediment was the back of the temple. In the east pediment of the Parthenon depicted the myth of the birth of Athena. So the statues were all arranged to tell the story of the birth of Athena. What I've highlighted in the artist drawing are the remaining or surviving statues. So you can see that the majority of statuary has been destroyed, has been lost. But what remains are some of the smaller elements that were tucked into the corners of the Parthenon. Now, the story here was the birth of Athena, which is insane. And regrettably, I cannot get into all of the myths of the ancient Greek world. If you want to know more about Greek mythology, email me and I can send you some good resources. The birth of Athena starts with her father, Zeus, having an affair with the Titan Metis, the goddess or the Titan of wisdom. Now, this is not unusual. Zeus has affairs on his wife Hera all the time. However, Zeus received a prophecy that Metis's second born would overthrow him. So, when she became pregnant, he decided to, eat her. He ate her up and absorbed Metis and her unborn child. He then began to complain of a headache. And he told his god Hephaestus, who is the god of fire and iron, he told his god Hephaestus to help him out. So Hephaestus split his skull open, and out came Athena, fully formed, alive, adult Athena. I know. And she came out fully armed, too. So here, the pediment, as described by people who saw it, said that Zeus was sitting on his throne and Hephaestus, there's Hephaestus, had split open Zeus's head, and springing out of his head comes the fully formed adult, fully clad in armor Athena. The rest of the figures of the pediment were there to be witness to this birth. And they are other major gods and goddesses from the Olympian polytheism from Greek mythology. Sadly, the main figures have been destroyed, but we are going to look at the surviving elements in order to understand what this would have looked like, and also to appreciate the sense of balance and control and measure that is the high classical period. So let's start here on the left, because that's how we would have read it. We would have read the artwork from left to right. These two groupings, or this grouping of two, is titled Helios and his horses and Dionysus, or Heracles, ? And they come from the east pediment, the front of the temple to Athena. Helios is no longer present, but we see his chariot pulled by 4 horses. The god Helios was the god of the sun, and his job was to take the sun on his chariot and ride it across the sky to mark the beginning and the end of the day. This chariot was pulled by 4 flaming white horses. So as we read from left to right, we reread the beginning of the day, as we see the rise of the horses, the rise of the sun over the horizon line. Going back here, you see that? So there originally were 4 horses, and they were sculpted and set into the corner, and they were rising up out of the horizon line. It's the sunrise on the day of the birth of Athena. And that figure sitting next to the horses. Historians debate as to who he is because a lot of the information is gone. Keep in mind, he would have been fully formed and not pockmarked or chiseled to pieces, but you take away somebody's power by taking away their face. Historians debate whether or not he is Dionysus, the god of wine, or Heracles, the demigod who is a son of Zeus. One argument for Dionysus is the way he sits. So the way he's sitting, we see this beautiful figure, which of course all the gods have to be totally muscular and sexy. All right, so we got big muscle sexy man, god then. And he's lounging in this way that kind of bends his torso, slumping him forward a little bit. He's not active or rigid. Art historians suggest that perhaps this is Dionysus, god of wine, because Dionysus is often depicted in a lounged position because he's the god of wine. Why wouldn't he? He's just sipping his wine. Dionysus is also known to have a little bit more of a belly, a little bit of a tummy, because he's always partying it up. I'm not saying this guy has a belly or a tummy, but that kind of relaxed bend of the belly, art historians suggested this might be Dionysus, here to attend the birth of Venus, or of Athena. Others have suggested that this is Heracles. You mean Hercules, Miss Cortez? Okay, I know Disney movie is Hercules. Disney movie Hercules got it all wrong, okay? We don't even need time to get it. We don't have the time to get into that. Heracles is the Greek name for the same human, half god, half human. Heracles becomes Hercules to the Romans. Okay, so who is Heracles? Heracles, his dad is Zeus. His mom is not Hera. And so Hera, Zeus's wife, gets mad at Heracles. She makes him go mad and kill his wife and kids. And then to redeem himself, he has to do these 12 labors, these impossible duties to become, well, to redeem himself, but also to then become one of the demigods or half gods. So this guy, he's all muscular, he's lounging here. Heracles was known for his muscular form, his strength. Also, he's lying on a piece of fabric that some historians have interpreted as a lion skin. And Heracles is often attributed with a lion skin. So it could be either. All right. But what we need to do is use our imagination and understand that this would have been much more impressive. This is a more well-preserved horse from the High Classical, and I'm showing it to you as an example of what these horses could have looked like. And they would have been brightly painted, right? So beautiful, bold colors just streaming over the pediment. Here's a view of it from the back. Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is in the museum itself. Here it is from the back in the British Museum. And I show this to you to emphasize again, these sculptures are carved in their totality, even though nobody's going to see them. They're being pressed up against a temple. What's the point? Because it's not for you. It's for the goddess. It's for Athena. So the time and the dedication to sculpt this figure in the round is there to show time and dedication to Athena. Here, I'm going to skip over these two ladies. They're two goddesses, but let's jump over. Okay. These goddesses are called, well, the three goddesses, and we believe them to be Hestia, Dione, and Aphrodite. What? What's going on here? Who are these people? I know, I can't get into it too much, but I will tell you that Hestia, she is a goddess of the home. And so her presence here is one of maternal, maternal care. The mother, the wife, stays at home, has lots of babies, and here we are at the birth of a child of Zeus. So we believe this to be Hestia. Miss Cortez, where are their arms? Where are their faces? Where are their heads? How dare you ask me that after this entire semester of me telling you? People take off their heads to take away their power. So you need to use your imagination and add the heads back on. And add color, because all of their clothing would have been elaborately and brightly painted. So we think that this is Hestia. The woman here we believe to be Dione. Now, Dione in Greek mythology was another lover of Zeus, and he came to her in a shower of gold, and if he fell into her lap to make love to her. So the fact that this goddess has fallen into her lap suggests something of Dione. And then the goddess who's fallen into her lap is none other than Aphrodite, goddess of love and sex and beauty. So the connection here of Dione, who receives Zeus to make love to her by falling into her lap as a shower of gold, and then Aphrodite falling into her lap. You see these kinds of visual cues to help us understand who they are in attendance to the birth of Athena? Let's look at Aphrodite, because she's gorgeous. Aphrodite is her Greek name. The Romans will call her Venus. She's the goddess of love and sex and beauty. And look at how the artist has depicted her. Look at how she is draped across this couch. Look at how the fabric clings to her. It's both hiding and revealing parts of her body. You see what I mean? Look at how that thin folds show that this is such a fine and delicate material. It probably is even see-through, transparent. And these fine, delicate folds, they ripple over her like caresses. And they ripple over her thighs. And look at how they kind of collect and bunch at her lap to emphasize her pubis area. And then as we rise up, we see how it's fallen off of her shoulder. Look at this. So the fabric, those pins that keep up her dress on her shoulders, it's slipped down to reveal her bare shoulder, and it's clinging to her breast. So we are hiding and revealing her at the same time. And she doesn't make any kind of move or attempt to hide herself. Why would she? She's the goddess of love and sex and beauty. So, do you notice in this composition too, just of these three goddesses, how we have one figure who is completely vertical. She's sitting up straight. And we have one who is completely horizontal. She's lying down. It's a balance of opposites. Even the way that the fabric clings to the body, it hides and reveals. It pushes forward and it pushes backwards. It's a balance of opposites. It's so classical. It's high classical. And then we end the day, or we end the pediment in the the right corner, right here. You see that? And all that remains of Helios is just one of his horses. But we know this to be the chariot of the sun as it goes down over the horizontal line of the pediment, or over the horizon line, behind the horizon line. So what we're seeing is the sun set. So we saw the sun rise, we saw the day of her birth, and now we're seeing the retreat of the horses, the setting of the sun. Here it is in this reconstruction in the Parthenon. You can see how those horses would have hung over the sides of the pediment. Isn't that beautiful? Now, as I said, these artifacts are now housed at the British Museum in London. This is me in 2012 when I was there. I've been there recently. I went there last year, and I took more pictures. I just haven't added them to my slides. But I did this to give you a sense of scale. And I took this picture of these two tourists taking pictures to give you a sense of scale. So they're massive. And it would be a beautiful kind of connection between, it was a beautiful kind of connection between the pediment, which shows the day of her birth and the rising and setting of the sun, and the fact that this is the east pediment and it faces the rising of the sun. So the beginning of the day and the beginning of Athena's life are reflected one in the other in this temple and its pedimental sculptures.